Eisner Award winner equals genius.
Oh, so we're geniuses.
That's what I keep
saying. Hooray!
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Dal and Patrick.
We just have to sit here in silence until the heat cycles off.
Right.
So it's not awkward background noise.
That only you and I will ever hear.
No, you can hear it on the recordings. But we can't talk because we were most likely going to talk about Jessica Jones, which, for the record... we are both missing out on watching to record this podcast this very second. I will be watching more tonight.
Sure, same here.
I watched the first 2 episodes from 3:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. today.
Jesus. I did, I think I did episode 1 around 3 in the afternoon, and I did episode 2. I did some work in the middle of it, so like basically from like 7 to 8.
It's
9, 7 to 9.
Yeah.
Kind of did like half an hour and then another half an hour.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, there was some kind of time-sensitive work where I wanted to get it done before other people needed to use the computer, and so I had to kind of...
Yeah, how about that? I was actually going to stay at the store and work in the order pack, and then you just take over the computer.
Sorry. I thought by that point you would be gone, and I could jump on the computer and do what I need to do. And then you would get home, and then it would be ready.
Or I could be waiting there to work at it there, because...
It's true.
It was right there.
I know. I mean, I could have stopped doing that.
Yeah, and I could have kicked you off. I mean,
yeah,
it was easy enough. Although apparently there's ghosts in our computer.
That's what I read. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not.
That's what I read as well.
So yeah, we each did the same amount of Jessica Jones. We did the first 2. Are you enjoying it so far?
Yes, I am enjoying it. It is very different from the plot of the Alias comic book.
Yeah.
Definitely less superhero-y.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a straight-up...
Not a single mention of Ant-Man so far.
Serial killer horror story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say I'm enjoying it simply because I don't know enjoyment is necessarily the word I would use in conjunction with the things that happen.
It's dark. It is dark.
It's honestly even darker than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be crazy dark. Like, it's... Oh my god, yeah.
This isn't a spoiler, and this is definitely out of context, but I think what sums up the entire series is it's not your fault. I know. It's yours.
Yeah, if I'm not using the word enjoyment, I'm not sure what word I'm using. I'm very interested to see where the story goes. It's tough to watch simply because you and I both have read the Alias comics, so things where the audience is supposed to kind of infer from what's going on, are things that we know exactly what's going on. We know exactly who Kilgrave is, what he can do, what he's likely already done. So there are things in the story...
We knew exactly who the bartender was.
Yeah, well, I just mean the Kilgrave stuff especially, because that's stuff where there is so much mounting dread, and if you already know what's likely going to happen, or again, has already happened, it's like 10 times worse. Because you're not just like mystified by what's going on, you're just waiting for that other shoe to drop. Like, you know what's going to happen. I think the idea of kind of recasting the... Jessica Jones Purple Man thing as more of like a serial killer obsessive vibe. Like, there's a sequence in the first episode, and I'm going to assume by the point that everyone's listening to this episode, they've likely already watched the entire series, if not by the time we're recording this. So this isn't a huge spoiler.
Well, admittedly, and you can say what you're going to say, because this won't go up until Sunday night. Mm-hmm. But, and again, there'll be people who have seen all 13 episodes.
Sure.
But there will be people that haven't gotten to it yet.
So the thing I'm talking about is basically from the middle of the first episode.
Okay.
So if I'm spoiling something, I'm spoiling something 30 minutes in that you probably could have already gotten from any number of trailers or interviews or even reading the Alias comics. There's a sequence in the middle of the first episode where Jessica Jones is investigating
the disappearance
of a college girl. And it's connected to her previous experiences with Zebediah Kilgrave. And they're specifically... She's able to figure it out because the sequence of events that Kilgrave is going through with this new girl is the same sequence of events that he went through with Jessica. It is specifically like mirroring the kind of pathology that he has. Like
deliberately.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be a message to her. It's meant to be something that she should see the pattern of. Like it's essentially like it's the sociopathic Joker style for her benefit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that in the Alias comics, they got to the point where there's a thing where basically, again, it's the sociopathic thing of, to Kilgrave, the only other real person in this story, and it's a story, like he mentions that he's basically in a comic book, like that's how he sees the world. Not like a Deadpool breaking the fourth wall thing, but he's completely crazy. So he views everything in that sort of like, four-color narrative. So later in the Alias comics, he sort of attacks Jessica through other people because he's kind of trying to get her back, essentially, or like he sees her as the only thing worth going after in the world. So everyone else is just collateral damage for her.
When you are a guy who can literally get anything you want whenever you want it, life has got to be pretty boring.
Yeah, and again, that's sort of the sequence that Alias goes through in the comics is that nothing is challenging for him. Like, he gets what he wants whenever he wants it, and she's the one that got away. So that's the sort of thing where
to quote Paul Stanley, everybody's got a reason to live, baby.
But that's the thing that's later in the Alias comics. In the beginning, like, Kilgrave is not a planner. He's not a guy who has
schemes.
Or like a serial killer has specific things that he has to do, like an MO or anything. He just basically does whatever he wants whenever he wants. So that's a thing that's, I feel like, a little bit more of a twist almost in this, is that it's an immediate thing. Like, Kilgrave is already at that point when the story starts in Jessica Jones. When in Alias, it's really not until the third or fourth storyline where they start to say, like, well, now he's obsessed with her, because he wasn't before. It's not a thing where, like, it's not until he shows back up later in the story in Alias that he's going after Jessica Jones again. Like, prior to that, she's just one girl that he probably doesn't even remember. So I feel like that shifts the focus and the energy of the story to more of a Jessica Jones versus the Purple Man thing than the Alias comics did, which kind of built to that, even though they were holding back on her origin, but they don't mention a lot of the Kilgrave stuff until later on.
Ultimately, with Daredevil, it was Daredevil versus the Kingpin. But it was 13 episodes of getting to that. It's not even
versus. I mean, they're in the same story to start with, but they're not in conflict until way later on.
But you know right away that this 13-episode arc is going to be Jessica versus Kilgrave.
Yeah, a lot of the story and her origin is built around Kilgrave in this version, and the idea of needing to move past that is kind of the main story for this. Like, it's not the Matt Murdock, I gotta stop Kingpin, or I want to protect my neighborhood. It's just, this is full-on origin stuff. This is, she doesn't even know how to be the person that she's going to be yet. Like, this is the turning point, is this 13 episode
season. Now she is a wounded warrior.
Yeah, I like Kristen Ritter. I didn't know if I would like her as Jessica Jones because she doesn't kind of fit how I view Jessica Jones, I guess. I've liked her in things, but I wasn't seeing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm 100% there yet, but I like her version of Jessica Jones. This is not the comic book version, but I like what they're putting together.
As with Daredevil, I think the weakest link is the best friend.
I like Patsy Walker okay in this.
I think that there's a significant amount of changes to every character in this. That's fine. I just think she's a bad actress. I think her delivery is flat.
She's never been good in anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, and like she's foggy. I didn't like Foggy in Daredevil. Yeah. I don't like.
I think some of
Trish.
I think some of the problem with Patsy Walker in this is that it's an Australian actress, so she's kind of having to work pretty hard to do that accent.
Okay.
And you can kind of hear it a couple places. Yeah, I'd read a few things. I didn't want to read a lot about Jessica Jones simply because I already...
Me neither. No spoilers.
I already knew most of the story from the comics, assuming that they were going to be adapting that, and they basically have to. I mean, you can't change a whole lot without changing core characters.
Hey, so the new series that Marvel's putting out, the new collections, there's 4 volumes.
Yes.
Is that everything that's in the 2 volumes?
Yeah. They just did smaller volumes.
Okay, because there were so many different ways this material has been collected before.
Yeah.
And I used to have like the all-in-one hardcover that I got rid of.
Yeah.
But now I have the 2-volume soft covers, but now there's 4 volumes, of which only, 3 are out so far?
3 comes out on the 25th.
Okay.
So if you're enjoying the Jessica Jones show and want to read the comics, you can get the first 2 volumes right now, and then 3 will be out, and then 4 will probably be out. I hope by the end of the year, but I can't remember.
No, I believe I just ordered it.
Oh, Jesus, is it February?
Yeah.
God.
January.
But I'd read a little bit with Melissa Rosenberg, who is the showrunner, and I think she's listed as the creator of the Netflix version. But they do credit Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos and maybe other people I can't remember as the creators of Jessica Jones in the comic series. But Melissa Rosenberg had been working on a Jessica Jones show since 2010 when it was possibly going to be an ABC series.
Yeah.
And at that point, they weren't really thinking about how much of a Marvel television thing, like this precedes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as far as a TV series goes. And originally it was going to have Carol Danvers in it.
As her best friend.
She was going to be the best friend. And they were also going to do more of a, like, there are superpowers in the world and everybody knows it. Like, that was 2 things they had to shift away from doing this version because in the Marvel movies there are superheroes, but there's very few of them and they're not on every street corner. They're not colorful costumes flying through New York. It's a very rare occasion.
There's
when
no
they do anything.
looking up in the sky.
Yeah. So, and Carol Danvers, of course, is going to be in the Captain Marvel movie, so that was off the table. So even when they could put in Patsy Walker, they can't really do the Hellcat stuff, and they can't really do, the Patsy Walker that you're going to read about in the Kate Leth Brittany Williams series. Like, that's not
which is going to be
really
so
what
good.
They're going to do.
Oh, that's one of the few times when we get a Marvel mailer that's promoting a new series that this one had a good amount of story pages for Patsy Walker Hellcat #1. And it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, the 2 of them, Kate Leth and Brittany Williams, did a short story in Secret Wars 2 that was really fun.
Yes.
A Ms. America Hawkeye, 1602 Hawkeye story.
Kate Bishop.
Yeah, Katie Bishop. And it's basically just they want pizza. So, like,
Even though 1602 Kate Bishop doesn't know what pizza is, she just knows she wants it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's a funny little short through a bunch of different domains in Secret Wars, including some we've seen before and some we haven't. It's fun stuff.
And we'll get back to Alias, but we'll go where the conversation takes us. So Secret Wars 2, I don't know, there's 6, 7, 8 stories.
6 or 7, probably.
The good ones are great, and the bad ones are awful.
Yeah, there were a few that I'd get to panel 5 and think how many more pages is this? 2? Okay,
I really the second story, the Spider-Man, where he saves Uncle Ben.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. Who did this? Oh, Al Ewing.
Yeah, it's just not a great idea.
No.
I thought that one wasn't very good. The Rob G one I didn't enjoy.
The Rob G one was not good. Galactus.
Yeah, and I think there was 1 or 2 more that I just wasn't into.
The Jonathan Hickman, I don't have an ending to this.
It was okay.
I liked Doom's dialogue the best.
Yeah.
Especially the,
why Doom doesn't eat hot dogs?
Your priority is wrong. You've wasted your life. You should just kill yourself.
Uh-huh.
And now, if you excuse me, there's a guy over there in Times Square dressed as Spider-Man. I have to go annihilate him.
Uh-huh.
That stuff was funny.
I like hanging a lantern on the fact of
this series.
I don't know what the ending is yet.
But I promise, this series will not be late.
Yeah. Just the bit of all right, everyone needs to bring their A game to this, and that means you too, Jonathan. And it's oh my god.
This is the most important Marvel initiative, blah, blah, blah. How many of
the Silver Surfer that's shipping on the 25th was supposed to come out in August or September?
Yeah, August.
And it has to come out now because it probably is post Secret Wars #7 or around the end of the story, and they're we just got to get this thing on the stands.
We've already ordered the new Silver Surfer #1. How many of the actual creators did you recognize at the round table?
Not a lot.
Brian Bendis.
Sure.
Tom Brevoort.
Tom Brevoort is pretty easy to pick out of a crowd.
Axel Alonso. Yeah. Jason Aaron. Jason Latour.
Okay.
I think that was it, though.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a funny special. It's a little tough to read it as too much of a, like, yay, when it's supposed to be like a palate cleanser for the giant Secret Wars series.
Their victory lap as they talk.
It's not done.
Yeah.
It's still coming out.
Ryan Brown's Daredevil was really good.
Yeah, there was a joke in there that I took a picture of and sent it to him and said, I thought this was really funny. And he said that he was surprised that Marvel actually let him put that joke in there. And I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't read it yet, because it made me laugh out loud. It's on the first page, though. You'll probably know it when you see it. There's a thing that Wolverine says to the different Cyclopses that I thought was really funny.
Oh, I read it. I just don't recall what the specific one was. Yeah, Secret Wars 2 was the hits make up for the misses by far.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get an anthology like that that's going to have like 7 or 8 stories, it would be rare for them all to be worth reading. But yeah, I definitely think the average was passing.
I don't know that there's other Marvel #1s from this week that stood out. Black Knight, which I did not read.
I tried. It's not good. It doesn't explain well what's happening, and it doesn't make you care why it's happening. And that seems to be like, and issue 2 is going to have the Uncanny Avengers in it, so that right there was like, that's the final nail in the coffin. Ms. Marvel I thought was great. Mighty Thor I thought was very good.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I can't remember which other ones came out.
New Avengers 3, which I'm still digging the book. The art I still hate, but I still like the story.
I don't blame you.
I like Pod. Pod's a great character.
Pod's a good character.
And now they're getting into... I liked how the story was told this issue with the 3 separate groups of characters, each having a story that goes through the pages but connect when a thing happens.
Right.
It definitely gives... it rounds out who those characters are a little bit more.
And I like that they finally brought up the thing of like, so... Are you actually a Wiccan? Because you're calling yourself Wiccan, and that means something. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, you shouldn't call yourself that. And it seems like a really good point to make.
Yep. I believe a name change would be coming up.
I would hope so. There's got to be a better one.
You pointed out you were happy to see them visiting the same cafeteria that Squirrel Girl went to in her first issue.
Yeah, I like when stuff like that happens, especially when it happens kind of backwards, where it was in Squirrel Girl's book and then it was in New Avengers, when it's a New Avengers headquarters thing.
Yeah.
I like that it feels like they're communicating. That, Al Ewing is telling Ryan North what's going on, and Ryan North is saying what he's doing, and they find ways to make their books better. At least I hope that's what's happening.
Sure. Can only imagine. Yeah. We got a phone call today from a gentleman who is basically the direct sales guy at Image now.
Okay.
And he prefaced the phone call with, remember those phone calls you used to get from DC? Mm-hmm. That's what this is.
Is it like something Stang or something?
Yeah.
Jeremy or Jeffrey or Matthew
or
something?
I wasn't going to bring up his name because I don't remember it, and I don't want to feel bad, especially since...
He's probably not listening.
Not only did we talk on the phone for like 15 minutes, but he had a follow-up email to some of the things I asked him about.
Here's the thing that I mentioned with a phone call I had earlier in the week.
With?
Somebody who's unimportant to this story.
Oh, okay.
Basically, like... A lot of times I'll take a phone call and someone will tell me who they are. But I don't know what this phone call is yet, so my brain is already not remembering it.
Sure.
Because you haven't told me yet why I should remember that, so I just don't. And then afterwards it's like, wait, who was that? What was it? So yeah, if anyone listening to this is someone who works at a comics publisher or has something crucially important to tell me at the store, tell me your name, tell me what's going on, then tell me your name again. Because at that point I will try to remember it.
That's a good idea.
Prior to that, it's just like, are you going to sell me something? Like, are you trying to ask me if I buy comics? Because I don't need to know your name for that.
There's a guy who's in today who usually deals with you, and you recommended stuff, and he loves Scott Snyder's Batman, and he's starting to get into action figures and stuff.
Oh, sure.
And he's talking to me, and then he says, I'm sorry, what's your name again? And I just want to say, I have a name tag right here.
Sure.
It's right there. You can read that.
I usually do the jerky thing and point to it when someone asks me that.
I usually do too, but I didn't this time.
I shouldn't, but I do.
Yeah. But so anyway, guy from Image. Mm-hmm. It was like a lot of me explaining how we rack Image, and Image has the same. Like we give Image 16 feet of space, we give Marvel 16 feet of space, we give DC 8 feet of space, but that 8 feet is less than the 8 feet of either a Marvel or an Image.
Yeah, there's one less rack at the bottom.
Of each side, so yeah. And then we give everything else 16 feet. So it's 16, 16, 16, 8, actually 10 if you want to count Vertigo.
Yeah, but a little less than 10.
Yeah.
Like 9, technically.
And that was the first time I've put everything into specific context. Oh, by the way, with Facebook's new memory feature, it shows you posts you've made on that date in previous years. Mm-hmm. And earlier this week, last year, we had unveiled our new graphic novel racking system by company. Uh-huh. And I like that a year later, that's been gone since, I think, June.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried it out. We try out a lot of things. Sometimes they stick around and sometimes they don't.
I noticed today how tight Sidekicks is getting for graphic novels.
Oh, yeah?
And I have ideas for that, but I didn't just want to do anything.
Okay.
First of all, what do you think about flipping how the shelves are? Putting all the spine-out books on the top shelf and the display books on the bottom.
Okay.
All right. I was prepared to explain that further, but
you can.
Well, I think that for the majority of people, adults and kids, the eye level is not, the majority of the books on the bottom shelf is more of a reach and a stretch and that you have to look forward to. And I think the display books they won't stand out as much, but they'll stand out more than I think everything else does together.
Okay. Sure.
Or I was thinking of taking, to make space, making the display sections not just like 3 or 4 call-outs, but like a whole group of books, like all the Yotsubas here. I know we've done that before,
sure,
but because Yotsubas are like 1.5 feet of space.
Right. No, it's just tricky because it's harder to make those shelve properly. Like, it's very easy for those to get messed up.
No, I know, but I mean, it would require more bookends, and it would require we'd need to order more.
I think it's mostly just that we tried doing it that way, and we shifted away from that because it was
sure.
It's so.
But I'm looking at the amount of space we could pull from each shelf, or we split. Mm-hmm. We do a little more than half.
Yeah.
And a Challenger's Choice. Challenger's Choice.
There's a third option.
There's plenty of options. But...
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's another option where, I mean, we could go to another shelf on all of those bookcases. I think we have more in the back because those are.
We have plenty.
Yeah, those are 2-shelf bookshelves, and they could be 3.
Yeah.
Without really, I mean, I don't think it would be a huge problem.
Would we still? We could do like the middle shelf as a display.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Yeah, we could do that.
Honestly, I think something like that is something to revisit. I mean, I think moving stuff, like flipping the top and the bottom, can be done tomorrow if you want.
Sure.
But I think rearranging the Sidekicks bookshelves, different displays or more shelves, I think I'd rather revisit that after the sale. Because,
sure, but I mean, it's tight now is all.
Sure. Holiday season and the sale can change that real fast.
Right.
And there's things we can look at as far as like stocking levels for different books or shifting some stuff to the half-off section. There's things that we've got a lot of that we don't need a lot of, and we wouldn't restock at this point anyway.
Well, we don't have a lot of room in our half-off section either. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I mean, that stuff, we've put half-off stuff in the back, or we can shift some of the half-off stuff to $5 trades. There's ways to try and accelerate how we clearance items.
Sure. I don't like putting things in the back.
No, I understand.
And I recently did as much cleaning as I could back there and got out as much as I could to bring to the front of the store.
Sure. And
little things like, and I know it makes perfect sense when we need to, but when I found a stack of Spike figures in the back today, I'm like,
I just put those back.
I know.
Because I had to, and
you had to make space for all the DC figures. I get it.
And I'm going to have to do that again this week, and I have no idea how I'm going to do it. Like, I don't know where those figures are going to go. They're coming out way too fast and too many at once.
I agree. Even though we order them months and months apart.
I don't like it when 5 and 6 figures come out from one manufacturer in 1 week, and then they do it again the next week. That's nuts.
Yep. Here's an ordering thing that I never talked about that just drove me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So the matte fraction David Aja Hawkeye book.
Yeah.
They put out a trade paperback.
Uh-huh.
Then they put out a second one.
Uh-huh.
Then they put out a hardcover of those 2 books. Then they put out a third trade and a fourth trade.
Yep.
Then they solicited the second hardcover, which would be those final 2 trades. And then they solicited an omnibus, which is all 4 of them together.
Correct.
Now, the omnibus is already out and on the shelves, but the volume 2 hardcover doesn't come out until January, even though it was ordered first.
Yep. You've talked about that before.
But to you, not on the podcast, I don't think.
I feel like you brought it up.
Have I?
You might have.
Oh, man, it drove me crazy.
Yeah, I feel like the week the omnibus was coming out, you talked about it everywhere. You were so angry about it.
Well, it's because
that's... I understand.
Yeah, it's a terrible way to do it.
I totally understand. If I was in that same boat of being somebody, I mean, if I was a customer and I was excited to get that second hardcover and the publisher decided that they would put that out way after other editions, like, I would be upset about that. I want that to own. I want that maybe to read even. And for them just to go like, yeah, we'll put it out 7 months from now. Like, don't do that.
It makes me almost not want to get it.
That'll show them.
Right? That will show them. Or, and I don't know if I mentioned this or not either, probably, the giant hobgoblin figure that we have inside Kiggs. That's the second in that series of figures. The first being Black Costume Spider-Man, which hasn't come out.
That's funny.
Which was ordered before Hobgoblin, which also has less sculpting and less to worry about.
Sure.
But it still isn't out. And Hobgoblin's been out for, what, a month now?
Yeah, probably.
And Black Costume Spider-Man, not yet.
Weird.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm in no hurry. But, yeah. Things coming out of order. Or, you know, those Doctor Who figures that I get from Eagle Moss.
There was Transformer stuff that I'd ordered, cases of stuff from Diamond, and had Series 4 come out, and then had Series 3 come out 2 months after that.
Yeah, these Doctor Who figures are coming in out of order, and there's one or two from 10 or 12 pieces ago that just never came out.
Sure.
Diamond just never got.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you collectors? You want the whole series? Too bad. Sorry. I stopped caring, and I was leaving space for them before, but once I rearranged where they went, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
As little room as possible.
Sure.
We're just gonna let it go that way. So yeah, Alias I'm excited for, and I really had to finish, and this isn't really comic related, but I had to finish Aziz Ansari's Master of None, so I could start another.
I think I'm putting that off until after Jessica Jones.
It ended weird, and it's not. At certain points, it's a very good show, and at certain points, it's a very uncomfortable show.
Sure. That's one that I'd heard enough good things about, and I like Aziz Ansari in other things that I was going to check it out probably over the winter break when a lot of stuff's not on. There's a good 3 weeks in there at least that I won't have regular television.
Yeah,
so I can burn through 8 or 10 episodes of that.
I was talking to Michelle Campbell today, and I was talking to her about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and now I'm only 2 episodes back.
Wow.
So I'm getting to the point where she can actually talk about things she wants to talk about.
Just as the show's going to go off the air.
Although, I got to tell you that the ads in the books, the ads for the TV show, ruined 2 major plot points for me.
That sucks.
Yep. Things that, for example, the big bad that you see in the first episode.
Yeah.
I knew who he was before I got to the point where you find out that he even is a somebody.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. I never even considered that he could transform back and forth from human form to not.
Sure.
But then the ads ruined who it was before I knew that he could transform.
Yeah.
And the way it was done in the show was you find out he can transform, but it's who is it?
Right.
And then I feel like they told you a little bit too quickly, but I think they have to because of the winter break.
Sure. They only have, I think, maybe 1 more episode.
I think everybody does. Everyone just has 1 more.
Yeah. Most shows are going to be off the air by the end of November.
Well, everything's going to skip for next week for Thanksgiving. Yeah. And then the week after that is
so first week of December, really.
The Arrow and Flash crossover / winter finales. And
then Agent Carter is going to start in January. And that's
yeah, see, that's a weird thing because you have this Agent Carter is supposed to fill the gap for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Yeah.
but they're still off for a month.
No, it is. It's basically filling 2 months of the 3-month gap. Like, no one's going to put anything on in December because no one's going to be around to watch a lot of it. So it's just, it's not even worth it unless it's something like the Great Holiday Bake Off or whatever, where, I don't know, you might as well. It's stuff that people have on in the background.
Sure. While they're baking themselves.
Yeah.
I never watched this show, but Gravity Falls is ending.
I heard.
But after only 2 seasons.
Yeah, but they might be 2 very long seasons.
I was just going to say, because I've known about this show for years.
Adventure Time has done seasons that are like 50 and 60 episodes long. Like
Really?
Those are shorter episodes. They're like
I thought
10 minutes or so.
Oh, that's true. But I thought Adventure Time had like 8 seasons so far.
Oh, they have probably hundreds of episodes by now.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing that led to me getting really behind on Adventure Time was they just started their 4th or 5th season or whatever, and it suddenly was like 50 episodes long, and I went, oh, I'm not going to catch up with that.
That's the kind of thing you're like, I can get back to it. It'll sit. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like at some point I will. It's just not on the docket.
Well, I mentioned that I was up in the wee hours watching Jessica Jones. I always pause because I want to say Alias, but that's a whole different.
It's a different TV show. I watched that one.
Yep, I watched parts of it. I will be up super early or super late Monday morning at 3 a.m. I'll be at WGN.
Oh, goodness.
Talking about local comic shop day.
Yay.
I offered, once I saw that JBO had a shift at that point, I'm like, hey, I'll come and talk about local comic shop day.
Okay.
And I can't tell at this point. I think we'll probably record before it next week.
Okay.
I don't know. It all depends. Thanksgiving messes things up, but
sure.
Thanksgiving being a day off, and the store is closed Thanksgiving. We were almost open, but it's closed. It doesn't affect for right now, it doesn't affect our personal schedules.
No.
Because we don't work Thursdays anyway.
No.
And adding family obligations on my part, it kind of... then
you don't get much of a day off.
That plus all the work for local comic shop day means I work just a little bit more next week than a normal week. But that's not that big of a deal. For local comic shop day, we've added somebody else. We already had 4 creators. I don't think we'd announced Alex Rosado from Element Factor and Ocean Marauders last time because he was a last minute addition.
Maybe, I can't remember.
He still made it to the flyers and stuff, but we now have Prairie Kate Creations.
Okay.
And she does origami comic book gifts.
Oh, neat.
And she will have a table set up as well.
Very cool.
So one more thing to make the local comic shop a neat place to be.
Sure. And she's a local creator?
Yep.
Excellent.
That counts.
Yeah, sure.
She creates things out of comics.
That's cool.
And she's from, the Prairie State is, of course, Illinois. So that counts.
I don't think that's true, is it?
Yeah.
The Prairie State?
Yeah, that's one of the... That's a nickname. It's not the official...
No, Land of Lincoln.
Yeah, but we're the Prairie State.
I didn't... Wow, I'd assume that'd be somewhere a little further west.
As you get further south, there's a lot of prairies in Illinois.
I've driven through them
There's
many
also
times.
Prairie State College is in Illinois.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're the Prairie State.
Okay.
I know. You think like... isn't it like New Jersey?
I think like Oklahoma
That's
or
the Garden
like...
State, or
Iowa or something.
Nope, we are the Prairie State.
That's us.
Yep.
Just Illinois.
There was... I hesitate to bring this up because of where it leads, and I have to keep names out of it just because I don't want to give anybody the press, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
But one of the things that the Comics Pro people were discussing, I was going to say up in arms about, but that makes it sound too reactionary and too...
Plus, it goes without saying. They're always, that's their default is up in arms.
A particular website we don't visit and a magazine.
I feel like the default heading for every Comics Pro Facebook post should be, "Listen here, you son of a bitch." And like if there can be like an emoji of someone like pointing, like a finger, I think that would drive it home.
Bleeding Cool listed their 100 most important people in comics list. And I didn't go to it. I haven't read it.
Please tell me Rich Johnston put himself at number 1. Please tell me.
I don't know.
I hope.
But apparently occasionally retailers make the list.
Okay.
And
that doesn't surprise me. Like there's definitely a few store owners in, globally that have a lot to do.
If you're going to make that list, you got to have Joe Field on that.
Historically, but currently, I mean, he's a Comics Pro founder and member, but I don't want to say, what have you done for me lately, but...
All right, well, can you pick somebody now?
Currently?
Yeah.
What is the title of this article? 100 most what?
Influential or important or whatever. I don't know exactly.
Whoever owns Midtown? Whoever that is?
Yeah, but who is that?
There's got to be some... Whoever they are, they're influential.
But they're not... I mean, you don't know them. They're not active.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they don't have influence. Christ, if anything, they probably have more influence than any other person in the direct market outside of Steve Jeppy.
Well, all right. So I asked
Chris Butcher. I'd probably put Chris Butcher up there because of TCAF.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pretty big comics festival now.
Okay, but we're talking about retailers, not festival organizers.
Yeah,
would you put Jim DeMonakis on because he was responsible for the Emerald City show?
Maybe, sure.
I'm talking about retail contribution.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's by that level, then just.
I'm just deliberately downplaying Chris Butcher.
Okay, because he made the list and I got it right.
No.
But no, I would say people
because he publicly crapped all over our rental section.
Still with that?
Yeah, that still bugs me.
Okay.
So I asked you who you thought that would be on there, but now who do you think Rich Johnston put on the list?
I have no idea.
If you were Rich Johnston...
I don't know how his brand works anymore, just who?
The guy who leaks all of the information to him.
Oh. Did he name that guy?
Yes.
Is it who I would think it would be?
Imagine. I mean, I deliberately wasn't going to say, because I didn't want to, but...
Do I need to wonder who it is?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, that was your clue. Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
But apparently it used to be like Cliff Biggers from Dr. No and Dr. Comics and Mr. Games, or...
Yeah, Dr. Comics and Mr. Games. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good person who did those things, but as far as influence goes, I mean, they got the Marvel First Look program shut down. So that's a hell of a thing.
But
I mean, it's like creating the atom bomb, but you still did it. Like, that's, people are going to remember who you are.
in a time where everything on Facebook is vitriol about Syrian refugees, pro and con.
Sure.
To see that same type of bile spewed for this list of influential people, it really...
It's like getting angry at someone who got World's Greatest Grandpa,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Going back to the Image phone call, the guy that we can't remember the name of him. He used
I see his name on all of like the links they have for their downloads.
It's a short name. It's a small name like Jeff King.
I think Stang is the last
Tim.
Because I was always a little surprised because it used to say Corey Murphy, and then I would click the link to download the PDF, and then it said someone else's name, and I went, "Oh, okay."
As you can imagine, virtually no one downloads the PDFs.
Oh, I've heard that from
everybody.
People who have done Corey Murphy's job before Corey Murphy was doing that job. So I'm not surprised.
And I told him that, we put him in a shared folder, so there's only one download link from us, but it's viewed by several people, if that counts.
I'm sure they're just happy to see a few downloads. I mean, but it's frustrating, even for me as a retailer, to know that the amount of retailers who are not taking advantage of that means it's less likely that publishers will do things like that because it's not worth their time. And that sucks, but what else can the publishers do?
Anyway, this dude used to work at Laughing Ogre.
Yeah, okay.
So we talked about mutual people that we know from there, and they were...
Is it Columbus? Is that where that is?
Yeah. Okay. Cleveland? Well, I mean, there's...
They have several stores?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm thinking of Cleveland because...
Because Cleveland rocks.
All the little chicks. No, because there was somebody who was in the store today who's from Cleveland. That's why that came up. But yeah, Columbus.
Probably Drew Carey.
And...
Or Brian K. Vaughan. Was it Brian K. Vaughan?
It was Brian Bendis.
Probably mentioned that.
I think it was Brian Bendis, yeah. And
I would love if you buried the lead in like 40 minutes into an episode. Like, oh yeah, Brian K. Vaughan came in today. Just apropos of nothing.
He signed a whole bunch of comics, none of them his.
He grabbed every copy of Monstrous.
We don't have any. It's going to second print.
Yep, it's already gone to the second print. Yeah.
That was one of the questions. How did Monsters do? I'm like, way better than we expected.
Yeah, there's a few times where they've offered returnability, and it's at a level where we're just like, that's like double what we would normally order, and I don't want to pay that money out of pocket. and then get it back in like 2 months. So I'd rather just order what I think I'll sell. We probably should have gone for the returnability on that. We could have sold those copies by now.
An interesting thing that he has suggested people do is either double rack it if you have a manga section. Like, well, we have a manga section, but not for single issues.
Yeah, because no one makes single manga.
Yeah.
And our graphic novels are on bookshelves, not on...
But I read Monsters #1, and I didn't necessarily make that connection. But...
I can sort of see it.
Sure. I asked him about an open sign, because ours blew away.
Yep.
And he said that he didn't think they had any more. He went and he looked the email back later and said that they are completely out.
That's fine. I think the Goon one is okay.
Yeah. Well, it's a choice between Saga and
of course.
Walking Dead.
Versus the Goon. Sure.
And what's the other side?
I think they're both the Goon.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I think they're both the Goon, though.
A lot of people want new change mats because either they've broken theirs or never got them in the first place. And they do get kind of dirty.
Yeah, they get a little
quickly.
gross over time. You can clean them. I've cleaned it before,
but I mean, there's some permanent stains on ours.
Yeah, and it the plastic gets to a point where it gets kind of like smoky.
Yeah, cloudy.
Yeah, so it defeats the purpose of having something that the people can see if they can't see it that clearly.
I asked him if he could move the emailing of those up by a half an hour, just so we get them before we close.
Sure.
And he said that that's the thing they don't think of because
we're not doing it first thing Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, we remember.
Well, I mean, that was the thing where I had hoped that they would have the PDFs for the week up, Wednesday or Thursday, the week before.
Prior, yeah.
But now, I mean, it's the Monday night of their release, and we get them Tuesday.
And I mentioned that as well.
The cool thing is, the real critical ones, like first issues
they give you in advance.
We get a month in advance,
yeah.
So that's great. Like that gives us a week to read them and still be able to increase our orders.
And you literally download every single one of those. So I mean, there's not more we can do unless we re-download them over and over again to bump their numbers up. We're not going to do that. That's ridiculous.
They already know that we're doing it. We don't need to do it 20 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was a weird conversation because I felt in the beginning like I was just not justifying what we do for Image, but describing it to somebody who's never seen it. Mm-hmm. And the books he was asking about, like The Goddamned or Monstrous, were books that we either ordered high on or sold out of.
Right.
And I explained how there's definitely an A, B, and C tier of how Image books sell, and he said,
"Sure.
Oh yeah, we know."
Oh, they're
well aware.
They're more aware of it than we are.
Yeah.
It's always been a little surprising to me, the books that for us are huge sellers from Image that are not nationwide and vice versa. Like I've mentioned it 100 times, it's so weird to me that nationwide Walking Dead sells better than Saga when our Saga numbers have been, 3 times our Walking Dead numbers for since the first issue.
Yep.
And I mean, even Paper Girl sells twice what Walking Dead sells. Like, that's so weird to me that those books nationwide are good performers, but Walking Dead is like the franchise. And I just think, like, it sells well, it sells consistently, it's made us a lot of money over the years, but I mean, it hasn't been the number one Image book for
a long time.
2 years.
Here's a bold maneuver I did in the last, the orders for January, as far as Image goes.
10 of everything.
I'm trying, again, Savage Dragon.
Okay.
Because Eric Larson is writing and drawing Spawn, and we haven't carried Savage Dragon in forever, and it's the start of a new storyline where Malcolm Dragon joins the Chicago Police Force.
Once every 3 or 4 months, somebody asks us about Savage Dragon.
Yeah, and somebody asked about it recently, so I'm like, you know what? We'll get one and see what happens. Because we didn't carry Spawn for a while.
Yep.
Then we brought it back, and now we're slowly increasing our Spawn numbers.
Yeah, slowly, but I mean, I think it's definitely plateauing at like 2 or 3 copies.
Yeah, I mean, it was doing 4, so we bumped it to 5.
Okay.
It looks like 4 was the number.
Probably. Sounds about right.
But that was after years of not even carrying it.
Sure.
But it's like, let's try 1. And now 2.
Uh-huh.
We've quadrupled our Spawn sales in the last couple months.
2 copies an issue for like 5 or 6 issues and selling out so consistently that it's like,
and
all right,
quickly.
let's bump it. Because, yeah, that was a book that prior to that would get people asking about it and flipping through it all the time, but nobody ever bought it. But then people started buying it, so I don't know.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, sure.
Doing the Image books, I mean, it's no secret we don't carry like maybe, I don't know, like not half the IDW line, but there's a lot of IDW books we don't do.
That's true.
but there's there's very few Image books we don't carry, and some of those we have club only.
Yeah, I mean, I would say club only were probably 20% of Image stuff might be club only.
Yeah,
15 to 20%. Because there's a lot of stuff that is just like DOA sort of stuff, where
as we've mentioned,
there's just no market for it. Like, or the market that's for it wants it, and no one's just casually reading it. But then there's things that surprised me a little bit, where I thought, like, Switch was a book that I think I bumped it up a little bit.
I don't even think I ordered it. I think you added
like,
to it.
Like, Top Cow in general, we don't get a lot of demand for. And, like, Death Vigil, which was Stepan Sedgwick's previous book, we didn't even finish out the series, I don't think.
All those books look the same. They have the same kind of logos.
But that was one that we sold out of the week of release and sold out a reorder on as well. So, I mean, there's definitely things that we'll try nearly anything. And there's not an Image book that I would say I don't want to carry that for the rack. So even if it sells out, I'm not going to restock it. Like, I'm always willing to be surprised by people's demand for a book. But
well, I think if they really wanted to let you people know what Switch was about, they would have called it Switchblade.
I mean, they used some of the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Switch part.
Which part of Switch is the Witchblade W and all that sort of stuff. And I think by design they were not trying to tie it in with Witchblade. Like, they weren't going after that audience. They were going after an audience that would respond to that.
A bigger audience.
Well, maybe like a more diverse audience that wasn't necessarily informed by Michael Turner's art, you know?
Yeah.
Like something that played a little bit more towards, again, like an audience that wasn't looking for, you know, suggestive good girl artwork or whatever. Like, that's not what they want. They want a different kind of story. They want, like, more Buffy, less Baywatch. So,
sure.
Portraying it in a way where it's a little bit less titillating was a smart move. Or at least based on our sales. Like, we don't even carry Witchblade for the rack.
That's true.
And we've sold out of Switch twice.
We brought Witchblade back when Tim Seeley took over writing it for that brief period.
Yeah, we tried it a few times over the years. And again, like Spawn, we've just had instances where after 3 or 4 months of no one buying a single copy off the rack, we decided let's not carry that for the rack anymore.
Yep. Our rack space is too valuable.
Yeah, and if I can look at the numbers on Final Order Cutoff and see that absolutely no one's bought a single copy off the rack for 8 weeks, it's like, what am I even ordering this for?
Right.
Like, in 8 weeks, no one's wanted one. What? No. Why throw good money after bad?
And that's why when you get a Savage Dragon question, you have to say, where have you been?
Yeah,
I mean, we'll happily carry it for you, but
yeah, these questions.
The fact that you haven't asked for it in 4 years.
Yeah, the questions like that never come from people who are regular customers. We don't have a club member or a regular weekly customer saying, "Hey, where's Savage Dragon at?" Because we would have been carrying it for them this whole time. It's usually somebody who's just stopping in from out of town. That sort of thing, which is usually the mark against carrying it, is I don't know if that person's ever going to come back for the next issue if we do have it. So I think it's worth a try, but yeah, it's definitely got a very limited window to impress us.
There are so many new comic publishers, independent comic publishers, that are trying to do full lines of books.
Sure.
All at the same time, that it's impossible for us to carry them all, and then you pick and choose, like we are trying everything Aftershock does.
Sure. Well, they have reliable creators.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for their inevitable, like, we're making movies of everything announcement. But I mean, the creators they have on board are people who will sell books regardless.
Yeah.
Who will have people come looking for them. So it's worthwhile to carry them. But a lot of stuff like 451 Press or whatever, like,
Titan.
None of those are anybody, and no one's going to care about them.
Titan
have
has
to push them, but I don't like those
huge
books.
ton of books and a lot of licensed books, which are like, all right, we'll try Blacklist because that's a popular show.
Sure.
No, man, we cannot sell TV show comics.
And I mean, Assassin's Creed, I like that video game a whole lot and playing it right now, but that comic didn't look very good, and nobody asked about it.
We can't sell video game comics either.
Yeah. But it's weird because Titan was really getting behind Assassin's Creed. Like, they were promoting that like it was one of their biggest gets. And again, nobody asked for it. And usually for a major book from a known publisher, at least one person's going to ask for it. You know? And, yeah, nobody.
I mean, we can barely keep up with Titan's Doctor Who books because there's so many, and they're coming out so frequently.
Yep. There's one more coming out in February.
Yep. And then, like, Double Take, a line, like, with 12 books with...
10. They started with 10 titles.
Starting with 10 titles in the same universe.
In 1 month, they started with 10 titles.
There's all these... There's several new, smaller horror lines from companies that do 3 or 4 books a month. And I think they all have a Steve Niles book.
Probably.
Which is weird because Black Mask was Steve Niles' company.
Yeah.
And he's putting out books with everybody, we can't, like, for trying these 8 new Aftershock titles, we're gonna have to drop some other independent books just because we don't have the space or the money.
Sure.
I don't know. It's we say this all the time, but it's harder every month.
There's a lot of stuff coming out,
and with all these companies adding to the back of previews, like the way I would order previews, the way I would order would be, like, one night I would do Dark Horse and DC. One night I would do IDW Image. One night I'd do Marvel. One night I'd do everything else.
Sure.
I can't do everything else in one night anymore.
No.
There's just too much of it.
There's a lot of it.
There is a lot of it, man.
Yeah.
I remember, like, 2 or 3 months ago, I got to Valiant and had to stop. Like, you're so close. Like, no, I can't. I can't do them all.
Through.
Nope.
It's especially tricky because it's not like every other publisher that we already order from is slowing down. You know?
Yeah, they're almost all ramping up.
Image has a lot of stuff. Dark Horse's got a lot of stuff. Marvel's got a lot of stuff. DC's got a lot of stuff.
So in the not for January, but for February, I went through and counted the Marvel books for the month, and I asked you, and I said, how many books, main Marvel universe, not
animated,
not their
Star
kids
Wars.
line, not Star Wars, not things like Dark Tower or Maximum Ride or Flight or whatever those things are. Just Marvel Universe titles. How many single issue of comics do you think they're releasing in February? And do you remember your answer?
Was it 70?
And remember what the answer was?
Was it also 70?
It was 70. You got it exactly right.
So good.
You got it exactly right. And then add on that 4 Star Wars books, 4 of the kids' books, and then the other stuff.
Yeah, the other stuff, we don't even carry for the rack. Like, we don't do the James Patterson thing or the Dark Tower stuff for the rack anymore. George Romero, I think, is done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's especially tricky because that's not comics. Is that comics or titles?
That's there's about 4 or 5 books that are double shipping, so that counts both of them.
Okay.
That's single issues, not titles.
And then honestly,
it's less than 70 titles.
I don't think that's so bad. It seems like a lot, but Marvel's publishing such a diverse amount of stuff that I feel like it would be worse if it was like, 5 Avengers comics every single week.
Yeah.
But even stuff like Captain America and Thor are not just selling to Avengers audiences. They're selling to other people. So even though Marvel didn't do nearly enough promotion for these things, I think we've been able to find readership for a lot of titles that we were not expecting to do well. And that readership is not hardcore Marvel people. Like, I think there's people who will enjoy stuff like Ms. Marvel, like Mighty Thor, like Captain America, like
Patsy Walker Hellcat.
I meant books that are already out.
Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
All New Wolverine.
Howard the
or
Duck.
The Vision, that are not dyed-in-the-wool Marvel zombies. That are people who get some stuff from DC or some stuff from Image or some stuff from Titan or some stuff from Boom or whatever. Like, those books are accessible enough that you can publish 15 or 16 of them a week. It's weirdly worse with DC, who publishes like 10 or 12. And they all sell terribly, and they're only selling to the same group of people who buy all 10 or 12 of them.
Our DC bill this upcoming week is more than double what it's been the last month each week. But that's mainly because of Dark Knight 3.
Yeah.
And we had to do the FOCs for number 2 already. And there was some Marvel book that we were ordering number 4 of, but we haven't gotten number 1 yet. Which is always fun.
That's great.
Yep. But I was very surprised to see in the month of January there's only 1 issue of Amazing Spider-Man coming out.
Yay!
And I wondered if something happened to Dan Slott.
I hope he's okay. Is there not a .1 as well?
There is, but I don't count that.
No, I wouldn't either. But it's still As far as Marvel's concerned, that's 2 Amazing Spider-Man books for the month.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, they got Spidey Deadpool.
Okay, so talking about Deadpool. They have a huge number of Deadpool True Believers #1s. And the True Believers
like
books are their dollar comics.
Sure.
And I guess we don't have the same philosophy for their dollar books as they do, because we like the dollar books that are part 1 of a current in-stock trade that somebody won't mind
double dipping
when they only paid $1. And it's a good way to say, hey, I'll spend the $15 to get the rest of the story because I liked it that much. All of these Deadpool books are, first of all, they made up titles for each one, and they're random issues of random Deadpool series.
Yeah, just 12
they have
Deadpool comics.
Nothing to do with anything. Like, legitimately, if they had...
I mean, they pick some stuff. Like a first appearance, the first miniseries, the first ongoing.
Yeah, but...
The newest the most recent ongoing that isn't the all different ongoing.
They didn't have one for that. I would have gotten that.
They didn't do the Jerry Dugan, Brian
No,
one?
because that's when I was looking for, like, I'll get that one.
That's weird, because they did some later stuff in that run.
Right. But they didn't have that. So, we're not getting any of them. Except for, like, the special orders, because we have some special orders for them.
Okay.
One of them is just all pinups.
Yeah.
And they do have a Deadpool adult coloring book, which I thought was neat. Because it's also just pinups. It's not like Age of Ultron, but with no color.
Sure.
But what is the point of these True Believers books?
Well, again, you talked about what our perspective is on them, that we view them as samplers for collections. I don't know if that's ever worked for us, so Marvel's view might be the correct one, which is, I don't know, do you want to buy a $1 comic?
Yeah, I don't know. They do have a Deadpool Marvel Universe Digest that we're stocking up on for sidekicks.
Yeah, there you go. You get like 100 of those.
I got 6. But we probably should get more. But I mean, it's just...
Marvel does not keep those in print.
But it's screen cap stuff.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know, does it?
Nope. I mean, that's what their comics are. Except for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know that the young Deadpool fans are going to actually want this book.
Maybe. If we put it in sidekicks, it'll definitely sell.
Yeah. This is what you get when I'm in the middle of ordering.
Okay.
For this isn't I've just finished it and got it out the other side.
I didn't think so.
Plus,
you have until Wednesday.
No, I have until Saturday, a week from Saturday.
Yeah, but
because of Thanksgiving.
But you won't be able to work on it Thursday or
I'll be done. Saturday. I'll probably be done Tuesday night.
Yeah, I think everyone I'd spoken to or emailed about, I'd said like Wednesday's the drop dead date for adding stuff.
Yeah.
Because at that point we're going to send it in.
Yeah. I may not get back to it tonight because all this Alias talk has got me raring to get back to Alias.
Understood.
Because it's a good show and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, it's a really compelling series. They did a good job.
I believe captivating was the word I used on the internet.
Okay. It's a good word.
So, I posted after the second episode at 5:30 this morning saying, I know I should be asleep, but Jessica Jones is just too captivating. And then when I was looking through my Facebook memories, in 2009, on the same day in 2009, I had a post at 5:30 in the morning saying, why do I always feel compelled to post this early in the morning? I think it's just my way of saying, hey, look at me, everybody, I'm still up.
Good Lord.
And here it is.
6 years later.
6 years later, and I'm still doing the same thing. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
And sad.
Or is it?
A little bit.
But what if it wasn't?
But what if it wasn't?
We're at the point of the year where I don't think there's going to be any big comic news. I'm happy that there hasn't been any giant outrage.
Stuff happens. To make a real quick aside that I won't dwell on for your benefit, I woke up this morning to find out that Hasbro had gone on their Facebook page and announced a ton of Transformers stuff, out of nowhere. Not at a convention, not at a trade show. They just went, I don't know, here's a bunch of stuff. Here's some pictures.
Now, when you say Hasbro announces stuff, you just mean toys?
Yeah.
Not new series or...
No. They have a second series of Robots in Disguise coming out on Cartoon Network at some point in 2016.
Wait, you mean season or series?
Season.
Okay.
I think it's only 13 episodes, though they cut it short.
Boo!
It was not doing well, and Cartoon Network scheduled it at the worst time, so it sounds like
Hasbro
is cutting their losses.
So
and doing other stuff after that.
Robots in Disguise.
Yes.
But the previous one was Prime?
Correct. This is actually the second TV series they've done called Robots in Disguise.
But the first one was done...
They've only got 3 things they can ever call a show. without making up a new one. They just keep reusing stuff.
Well, it's just like, I'm trying to equate it to terms of Batman Adventures, Batman the Animated Series, Batman the new
Batman Adventures.
Yeah,
this is honestly closer to something like the new Batman Adventures because it is a different animation style, but it is vaguely continuing where the other one left off, but with a much different tone.
Which other one? Prime. Or okay.
It's very, very, very loosely connected in a sense. Like they promoted it like it was connected, and then they made it in a way where it's kind of not connected. So,
and Prime was better.
It's a different kind of show. Prime was going for a slightly older kid audience, while Robots in Disguise goes for a younger kid audience.
Oh, okay.
It's
like the Spider-Man cartoons
they do, but what they're doing are two different things, and for some adult fans, they just can't get on the wavelength of what Robots in Disguise is doing, and that's fine. It's gonna not be for everybody. Any cartoons like that.
Or that Avengers series we both liked.
Yeah.
That went away.
Yeah.
And is now replaced with whatever.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes was, I think, what we were watching in Avengers Assemble. Maybe was the one that followed that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we cared for Avengers Assemble.
No.
So yeah, I think comics news can come out of nowhere. There will definitely be things announced from Marvel through the month because every month has stuff announced by Marvel. There's a few titles. There's only, I think, one book so far that we'd be expecting in March that's been formally announced.
Black Panther?
Black Panther, it's not in February, so it's probably going to be in March. It could be later than that. They could do it closer to when Civil War comes out, but I'd be a little surprised by that, considering that they've already announced it and shown some artwork. But besides that, there's really nothing else that we would expect to see that they've announced already that hasn't shown up in the February solicits.
Well, I could deal without new number ones for a while.
But there's gonna be a bunch. There's not a month that goes by that Marvel doesn't have a bunch of new number ones. So March is not going to be the month where there's only one new comic from Marvel.
It's just that we went to a point where DC was doing 52 books,
right,
and then Marvel had said we're going to do 65. They're in the 70s with their titles now.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I know a lot of them won't last.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd look at March as the month where stuff's going to get canceled. It's possible.
No, I'm sure it's not.
But it's really, really, really early in the run. Like, something would have to be an abysmal failure to not even make it to, like, the issue 6 mark. I mean, there's a few books I can name that I think are really likely candidates for early cancellation, but not necessarily that early.
Hey, come on. Man, Night Mask and Starbrand hasn't even come out yet.
That would be one.
C2E2 is in March this year, so yeah. I guess we'll have bigger things announced earlier.
Yeah, that'll be for summer, though. I mean, that'll definitely be for, June or May and June and July.
Yeah.
But there's going to be stuff that's got to come out in March that Marvel's going to have to announce at some point in December, probably within the next few weeks. I'm interested because I don't really have any view on what that could be. Like, there's very few things I would look at as unexplored territory, I guess Moon Knight. Moon Knight's one they've announced as a comic that they haven't scheduled yet, so that could probably also be a March book.
Yeah, that's true.
There's probably some other stuff in that window of... There was a show, and, like... You
mean a convention? Not like a TV
show?
Yeah,
a convention. I think it was in New York, like at the retailer portion prior to New York is where they announced, like, Moon Knight and a couple other things.
Blade, we're still waiting for Blade.
Yeah, they got... The retooled Blade has to come out at some point. So yeah, I'm really curious what else they've got in the catalog that they're going to explore.
Oh man, I just noticed that the ones they held back, Miles Morales, Black Panther, Blade. Come on, Marvel.
Come on, Marvel. I'm interested to see if they're going to do a Jessica Jones series. She was a character that I'd assumed would have a book out by the end of 2015, and she's got nothing through really for early 2016, so maybe she'll get a book.
You mean like the idea of having a Supergirl book out now?
It seems like that would be a priority, but I guess it really isn't. I don't think we're done with news for 2015.
I just like the facet of this podcast where we react to industry things, and we haven't had really industry things. The only thing I really had this week was that top 100 list, which is a pretty stupid thing to even talk about.
Yeah, I would find it difficult to muster up much enthusiasm for anything that website put together as a news piece.
So to re-emphasize the books that we enjoyed most this week would be The Mighty Thor #1 and Ms. Marvel #1.
I think Ms. Marvel #1 more for me than Mighty Thor. I like Thor. I remember feeling the same way at the first issue of the last Thor series.
Yeah.
The 8-issue one. I didn't really care for the first issue a whole lot. It felt like it took a couple issues for them to figure out the story they were telling.
Okay.
And this, the extra pages I think maybe made the pace a little bit too slow for me. I thought it was fine. And if you've never read it before, I think it's worth reading, but it didn't deliver in the way I wanted it to. While Ms. Marvel absolutely 100% did.
Speaking of things that you wanted, you were not down for that Art Adams New Avengers poster.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out what size it was. There was the picture they were showing, and then there was the dimensions they were saying it was, and I couldn't figure out, those two could not be the same thing.
Sure. Well, I ordered one anyway.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm sure we'll find some more.
The Russell Dotterman Thor one comes out in a couple weeks.
Oh, wow.
It's, I think, the 9th, maybe.
I think we need to...
Very excited.
You know how recording studio hallways, when you're going back to the booth and the sound room and the vocal room...
Your gold records and stuff.
Yeah, I think we need to reevaluate our...
Oh, I already know
wall decor.
I know where it's going to go. Oh, yeah.
Well, but I'm saying there's multiple.
All that stuff's going to come down.
That's a bookshelf. That bookshelf
on the other side of that wall.
This bookshelf has to stay here.
Yeah, I'm going to put a poster up in front of it.
Well, I want to get back to Jessica Jones. So, thanks for listening.
And keep watching.
Wait,
Jessica
hold
Jones.
on. No, wait, we can't stop. We need to.
What?
We haven't.
Oh, whoops.
We're really bad at
our jobs.
Well, yeah, but self-promotion. So, every episode we need to mention, hey, this is a
Patreon.
fan-supported and listener-supported podcast. I stole that from Art of Wrestling. We have a Patreon.
We have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/challengers.
And since we talked about it last week, we have doubled the number of patrons. Yes.
2.
And the event's coming up. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Local Comic Shop Day, which is Saturday the 28th. But we have 2 events scheduled for January of 2016.
Yep.
Friday the 8th is the Blast Furnace release party with Ryan Brown.
Yep.
And Sunday the 24th.
Whoops.
Is time TBD, probably 2 to 5.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say, I want TBD.
I'll let it go.
Amber Benson signing her second Witches of Echo Park novel.
Cool.
The Last Dreamkeeper. So we have
Dreamkeeper.
With the Dreamkeepers. No. We have those events. And there's a couple more that we have talked about with people, some Kickstarter parties, some stuff like that. But these are the only 2 that are, or 3, I guess, carved in stone.
Yeah, we've got a booked one for April that I can't even talk about for a few months.
Is that official?
It's as official as I would like it to be.
Okay. I just remember it being like, what do you want to do? What about this?
No, we talked that all out.
Okay. Well,
it's stuff that I basically said, this is the vague shape of it. I don't want to lock anything in with these plans on our end until after the holidays because it's really tough to essentially book people on our end this far out because those people's plans can change.
Wait, but it's not up to us for us to book this person, right?
There's elements that we would have to take care of.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it more later. But anyway, long story short, there's definitely stuff in 2016 already that we are
I would say that
firming up.
I would just so we're not super vague, I would liken this event to a Noelle Stevenson kind of thing.
Sure.
I think it's that kind of impact and that kind of
it's one of my favorite graphic novelists, and I'm super excited this artist is going to be in town, let alone
this creator
in Challengers.
I think saying artist is
limiting. Author.
This creator.
Genius.
Not
Eisner Award winner equals genius.
Oh, so we're geniuses.
That's what I keep
saying. Hooray! Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 North Western Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. You can visit Challengers on the web at challengerscomics.com. You can direct email to challengers@challengerscomics.com. You can become a fan on Facebook at facebook.com/challengerscomics, and you can follow Challengers on Twitter at twitter.com/challengerscomics.